Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Yes, here we go. Follow the money. Welcome in. Show presented by DraftKings. Pauly Howard, Matt Youmans, Paul Stone on the program. We'll preview the Sun Belt and Notre Dame. Fighting Irish. Win total 10.5. Depends where you shop. Also, Nigel Seeley on a great day of soccer, and he has opinion on 3 of the 4 matches coming up. Excited for this. Matt has a big opinion on the Chargers win total. We'll preview the Chargers, continue our AFC West, and we'll get to the J.J. Redick press conference, real or fugazi, a good MLB card, win some, lose some, busy show coming up. The drought continues for Canada. Damn, 1993, Edmonton couldn't get it done, and another under in a Game 7, and also a Game 7 Stanley Cup final. That's 17 of 18 that have gone under going back. Now 5.5 goals. You get the first period that goes over, and then only 1 goal the rest of the way. I felt that, it was a tough shot. Maybe he was screened, but Skinner could have come up with the second goal by Reinhart. I can't believe you're watching that at the time and thinking that's going to hold up and be the difference in the game as they play a scoreless third period. You don't even manage a shot with the empty net. But no choke, no epic comeback. Florida in 7, and for the first time, a team that doesn't win the special teams wins a series. 14-1 now, as Edmonton closed the season, killing out 48 of their last 49 on the penalty kill. But no McDavid. And this is something you mentioned from the Conn Smythe angle yesterday, that he doesn't score, he doesn't have a shot on goal, he doesn't register a point. They win, and he goes to minus 3,000 to win the Conn Smythe, and then no points yesterday, only 2 shots on goal. And then they're playing games with that, but I thought he would deliver on the big stage, and McDavid nowhere to be found. Game 6 and Game 7, tough way to go out for the best player.
Yeah, if you're the best player in the sport, you got to step up in Game 6 and 7. You think Michael Jordan would sit by passively and not do much for the Chicago Bulls when the series is on the line? Now, I'm not saying that McDavid didn't do much, but in terms of the last 2 games, when you have only 2 shot attempts and you're the best player in the world, that's inexcusable. And I was getting a little tired of the media hype, too, about McJesus, right? And Sean McDonough, who's an outstanding broadcaster, and who else was on that TV
Ray
crew?
Ferraro.
Ray Ferraro.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were talking last night about McDavid's the best player in the world. And during this series, he's further distanced himself from the rest of the league. How? He didn't do much in the first 3 games. He didn't do much in the last 2 games. Now, there was a 2-game stretch where he had 8 points.
Yeah.
One of those goals that he had in the series was an empty netter. I don't think he came close to dominating the way the media portrayed it. Now, I give him credit, too. He did not come out to accept the award last night after the game. If you lose, don't be out there accepting individual awards.
Oh, you like that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
oh,
very
yeah.
good. Interesting, yeah.
No, if you're on the losing team, don't go out and celebrate yourself. No. So I like
Well, it's a tough moment. It's only happened 6 times, and it's weird. It's awkward, yeah. And plus, he's demoralized.
There was so much on the line last night for the Edmonton Oilers franchise, their fans, all their players. I mean, this is the biggest moment of their careers. And then to lose that Game 7 2-1 last night, I don't think McDavid should have been out there accepting that award. Now, we can debate whether or not he should have won it. Conn Smythe is a playoffs award, so the entirety of the playoffs count, not just what happened in the Stanley Cup final. Paul, this is what bothers me the most. And I saw some really, condescending clowns on Twitter last night commenting about, how can you be shocked that Connor McDavid won Conn Smythe? He was minus 3,000 going into the game. All right, in my mind, 3,000 is a bogus number.
Yes.
Because after Game 5, he was minus 175, then the price started to inch up minus 200, minus 250, minus 300 before Game 6. In Game 6, he had 0 shot attempts, 0 points, and went from minus 300 to minus 3,000. That's basically because nobody else had stepped up to challenge him to win the Conn Smythe. I thought Gil Alexander had a great tweet last night charting the Connor McDavid odds movement on the Conn Smythe as the game dwindled and the minutes dwindled and the price dwindled to the point where I think he ended up about minus 250. I'm going to check Gil's tweet.
I tweeted it too. He was 250 at DK in the second period. He got as low as 175. I didn't look at FanDuel, but he was, yes, in the second period, he was minus 250. Barkov was 2-1. Bob was 9-1. So it was a roller coaster. But I know Doug Kazarian has made this comment. He's right about these books are guessing, and it's a fake market because you can't handicap what human voters are going to do. You don't know what's going to happen. And we just went through this with Jason Tatum and Brown with the Eastern Conference MVP, where Tatum was 1,100 and didn't win it.
Right.
So you don't know what's going to happen. Plus, you also have this. Will you still have a voter who's going to give it to a guy on a losing team? So I agree with what you said about Stanley Cup final. But he was phenomenal in the entirety of the playoffs with 42 points in 25 games. Right. I understand what you're saying about what happened in the Stanley Cup at times, and then certainly disappears in Game 6 and Game 7.
In the games that mean the most, Game 6 and Game 7, he did nothing.
But as a book, you're guessing.
Right. He probably deserved Conn Smythe based on the entirety of the playoffs.
Because you're looking at 18-1. And then I mentioned on this show, hey, they're down 3-1. What if they lose in 7? He can get this.
Sure.
And he did. But then you see the odds flip, and then he becomes the favorite. And then it really takes off after the Game 6 win, too. So why did he go from 3,000 to minus $2? Because
he never should have been 3,000 in the first place.
But you also, it goes back to who can you really make a case for? Yeah. Because it was the biggest disparity, the biggest gap between number 1 and number 2 for points in a playoffs. And then Bob had been lit up and pulled a couple games ago, so it was hard to make a case for Bob, even though he had a phenomenal run and a stellar run too. So it was also, but yeah, it shouldn't have been 3,000, but then also was an overreaction to, even though he didn't play well, but to drop him all the way down to $2 as low as 175 at one book and 250 at DraftKings. And then he ends up getting it. But that's a wild discussion and a wild roller coaster with what I was prepared for the madness and an upset too, based on you don't know what these voters are going to do. Every guy's different. I go back to 2016. If LeBron couldn't win it on the Cavs that year, Jerry West did it. But then who are they going to ever give it to on a losing team when they gave it to Iguodala, who was guarding him for much of the series, but LeBron torched him and put up big numbers. So that was another terrific angle with this as well. And the other thing, which is unfortunate, is the horrible sports fans in Florida. And I wanted Canada to end the drought and was pulling for Edmonton. And now many people who were at the game and covered hockey for a long time said they have never, ever seen this many opposing fans in a visitor's building arena in a Game 7. Never seen it before. How do you sell your tickets for that game? The whole reason of having season tickets is for Game 7 winner take all for all the marbles. This is it. This is why you have the season tickets. It's Edmonton fans everywhere. You saw it before the game outside on the concourse. You saw them drinking at the bars and the restaurants. You saw good seats for Game 7. I couldn't believe it. What were they doing? But again, we knew they were blousy sports fans, so it shouldn't be a surprise. But I cannot believe all the Edmonton fans that invaded that arena. And the other thing, I don't recall, all of them, home games, road games, they all wear jerseys.
Sure.
The ratio of Edmonton fans,
it is
every
crazy.
single Edmonton fan has got a jersey on,
even
which is also full marks.
The Flasher fan, the Playboy girl.
She had a jersey on too. So you understand? I know we're in the media, but that's why would you have season tickets if you're going to sell them for Game 7? That's why you have season tickets and you're a fan for moments like that, which you might never get in that position again.
True.
That was bizarre.
The other one did not help the Oilers win the game.
No.
That was a hell of a game last night, by the way. I think it lived up to the hype, don't you?
Yes.
You said the most anticipated hockey game?
Yep. All the drama.
For you in, 30 years?
Yeah, 1994 Game 7, which was also a phenomenal game and a great finish with Vancouver. And the Rangers, also a tight game. And Edmonton had so many chances and opportunities, and I thought they were going to tie it late, and the puck's just sitting there for McDavid, and he couldn't capitalize. And then on the close call in the second period, where it just goes, Tkachuk knocks it to the boards, and then it leads to the goal the other way by Florida to put them up 2-1. Maybe you could say Skinner should have had it, but that's how it ends. And then the rush, and when do you pull the goalie? How much time left? But great series. And how about the jinx and trying to overcome Corey Perry, who has now lost 4 Stanley Cup finals on 4 different teams within 5 years. Yeah. How does that happen? Montreal, Dallas, Tampa, and now the Oilers. Amazing but true.
Bad luck for him.
A lot of people feeling good for Paul Maurice. He's a great soundbite. He gets it done for Florida as they win their first cup. Paul Maurice, what the cup and winning the title means to him.
It's brilliant, right? It's I've never hugged so many sweaty men in my entire life. I'm not sure I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to do it tonight. So, you know what? It's not what I thought it would be. It's so much better, but it's the hugs, man. I saw Sam Bennett smile today. First time in 2 years. It's brilliant. You know, it's for my mom and dad in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. My brothers Mike and Shane in Sault Ste. Marie and Waterloo. The whole Langlois clan in LaSalle, Ontario. All of the people that suffered through 30 years of me losing, making excuses. Mom and dad especially. Hey, Dad, your name's going up with your heroes. Belleville, Richard, Hal, Lindsay, Maurice.
Thanks to Sportsnet. Very good. And I'm sure it's even sweeter, the fact that you're up 3-0, and then, whoop, we got a game. And as we talked about yesterday, what a difficult position to be in for Florida and the organization, where if you win, okay, you're champions. If you lose, you're a punchline and a laughing stock.
That's all or nothing. It's like you're
absolutely.
All in. And that was high-stakes Game 7, no question about it.
Panthers in 7 paid plus 450, 475 in that range. A bizarre moment in the J.J. Redick press conference. He was introduced as Lakers coach next. Getting close. Our NFL betting guide drops this Thursday. Never been a better time to become a VSiN Pro subscriber. In-depth profiles of every team, advanced stats, win totals. I'm reading the stuff we have up there before it's released, and Coach of the Year, MVP stuff. Going to be plenty of picks and opinions. Top bets. Youmans on a win total he loves coming up in 10 minutes. To get the guide, you got to be a VSiN Pro subscriber. 13 months, less than 50 cents a day, $1.99 for the year. 24/7 video access, every best bet, every host, every guest. VSiN.com/subscribe, code FTM. VSiN.com/subscribe, code FTM. J.J. Redick introduced yesterday as the Laker head coach. I know we had some fun right away, so I don't know if you guys know this. I've never been a head coach or have a head coaching experience yesterday. There was a moment where they asked him about talking to LeBron and talking about the job, and said he never talked to LeBron doing the podcast about the Lakers job until it was offered to him. And when he said that, someone in the back said, went like that about, you got to be kidding me. That's ridiculous. But I know that's how LeBron wants things, or at least how he wants it portrayed in the media, about I'm hands off. I stay away from that stuff. I'll let the owner and GM make their moves and their decisions. But as I said last week, I'm going to give him a chance. It's important who they surround him with and with the assistants. I know it looks strange and bizarre that he has no experience, and now he has one of the best jobs with certainly a storied franchise and 17 titles, and you're coaching LeBron and AD. I like that he wants AD to be the hub, LeBron to shoot more threes. I'm interested to see what he can draw up, and from a strategy standpoint, and also substitutions and still some moves they have to make with the roster. But there's been a lot of guys who have failed miserably without experience. It worked not right away, but it worked out for Jason Kidd, and he just went to the NBA Finals. He took over the Nets immediately after he retired. So it's I know you would have liked to grab Hurley. Certainly, he said he wasn't offended by that, what happened with the late push for Hurley and the $70 million offer. But others say it was Redick's job all along, and he was introduced yesterday as the Lakers coach, and now we'll see what happens as he gets to work and moves they make for this roster.
It was always J.J. Redick's job. The Dan Hurley thing was an orchestrated sham by Woj. I mean, we've talked about this over and over on the network. Dan Hurley did not have a real offer. He was never going to take the job, and the Lakers knew he wasn't going to take the job. Okay? This was always Redick's job to take. He was broadcasting the NBA Finals and he couldn't take the job then, which is what that gave Woj and everybody time to orchestrate that whole charade with Dan Hurley. Now, Hurley's a hell of a coach, and eventually he's going to make an NBA leap, but this was not going to happen here. So the one thing that bothers me, too, is about LeBron claiming that he has no knowledge of all the stuff that goes on. And, by the way, Dan Hurley never talked to LeBron about the Lakers job. He didn't. Hurley said that. Never talked to LeBron. So how serious really was he about taking it? You know that LeBron handpicked J.J. Redick as coach. And I'm going to give Redick a chance. I think he can be successful. He's a very sharp basketball guy. And he understands when you have that much playing experience in the league, you have a high basketball IQ, and you know how to handle players. You got a chance to be successful. Why did the Lakers make him one of the top 10 paid coaches in the NBA? Now that, I don't know. You don't have to. Who were you bidding against? Why did you have to pay J.J. Redick $8 million per year? Why don't you pay him $5 million per year and put some incentives in the contract that if the Lakers achieve certain things, he makes more money? A guy with no coaching experience, you don't have to make him a top 10 paid coach right off the bat. There's a lot of things to pick apart here, but I will give Redick a chance. I actually think it's a decent hire, even though a lot of the surrounding nonsense was pretty clumsy by a lot of different parties.
There has been interest in the past of an assistant, and maybe could he be a head coach somewhere and getting an offer. It keeps coming back to how smart he is and the success that he had with his podcast. And for whatever reason, if you do broadcasting, if you are a broadcaster, then it's like, top of mind awareness, and these guys continue to get jobs. And I forgot about this guy. And it happened to Kerr, although he was a GM with the Suns. And then it was hilarious, though, that a big reason why ESPN let go of Van Gundy was because they were so concerned he was going to get back into coaching. And that's what happened to Doc Rivers and now J.J. Redick.
Sure. The
two guys who came in. To your earlier point, too, about Hurley never countered. Like, if you were going to take, why do you not come back and say, listen, I'll do it for $95 million, whatever it would be. But
if the Lakers wanted Dan Hurley, they would have made a 7-year, $105 million offer. Okay? How's he going to turn that down? $15 million a year? Mm-hmm. How do you turn that down? They didn't make that offer. 6 years, 70. They knew he wouldn't take it. He knew he wasn't going to take it. That whole thing was a charade.
Yesterday, he was asked about the fact that, okay, a lot of doubters here. You don't have a lot of experience, and how do you prove people wrong? Here's Redick yesterday.
It's a valid question, and I've certainly heard everything. It's been a really interesting 6 weeks or so, just in terms of being part of the engagement farming industry. It's been really interesting. However, I don't really have a great answer for your question because I really don't give a like, honestly. I want to coach the Lakers. I want to coach the team. I don't want to dispel anything. I don't. I want to become a great coach in the NBA, and I want to win championships, and I want my players to maximize their careers. That's all I fucking care about.
So 2 F-bombs while he was at the press conference, and thanks to the Lakers network, Spectrum Sportsnet, which I watched that yesterday on his 40th birthday, and it was entertaining. And he also said he knows what's on the line here. It's championship or bust, and how this organization is looked at. And he's certainly right about that. That this is, you just saw what happened with Darvin Ham and Vogel. I mean, Vogel wins a championship, and a couple years later, gone. Scapegoat. And then Darvin Ham goes to the Western Conference Finals, and he's let go the next year. So you have to win and then sustain it and keep it going as well. So he knows what's on the line here, but he's a competitor. And
what's on the line? If he gets fired, his contract.
Do you think he'll last 3 years?
Yeah, because he's going to ride out the end of LeBron's career. He's LeBron's guy, right? LeBron picked J.J. Redick as his last coach of the Lakers, so those guys are going to ride it out together, whether it's 2 years. How many more years do you think LeBron's going to play? 2? He's got a good 2 left, maybe 3.
He's still playing at a high level. Yes.
So
I'd go at least 2, yeah.
Okay. So, J.J., I think Redick's going to be there as long as LeBron's there. And, I give him a chance to be successful. I do. I'm not going to write it off. I know a lot of people think he just went from coaching his 4th grade boys team to the Lakers. Nah, this guy's got a lot of NBA experience. He sees the game at the highest level. He knows how to handle players. You have to be able to handle players.
Good point. Yeah.
And you have to have the respect of the biggest egos and stars on the team. And he has that. So I think he's got a head start on, he's got a better chance than a lot of people think.
Well, you can't lose the locker room. Well said at the end. You can't lose the locker room and the confidence of the players, which that's what happened to Ham and how he was juggling the lineups and bizarre moves he was making. And to me, I'm not the only one to say this, he was lost when it came to X's and O's. And that's a big reason why I thought Kerr would have so much success with the Warriors. Number one, look what you're inheriting. But Mark Jackson did a terrible job with what he had with the Splash Brothers in drawing up plays and getting open looks and running your offense through them, and the best shooter in NBA history while he's dumping it down to Jermaine O'Neal and playing 1980s basketball. And then Kerr comes in immediately, and as people are, look at this imagination, this creativity. Is it? No, it's not. It's also kind of doing what's expected and common sense, and I win a championship. But Kerr's certainly done a great job. But I would think the audience and a lot of people will be blown away by so many retreads and just recycling the same guys who also are horrible from an X's and O's standpoint and don't have the creativity and imagination and think so. He's probably thought about everything possible angle. But now the next move is Pelinka, and what do you do with this roster and bring in another a third star or good player to go with them and help this team out? Because they just went to the Western Conference Finals, but it is a stacked conference, no doubt.
Well, it's a stacked conference, but the Lakers weren't that far away this year. They really weren't, and it doesn't take much to get over the top in the West. When you looked at Dallas Mavericks were the 5 seed and they won the West, Lakers weren't that far away. And I think what they do in the draft this week, what they do in free agency is going to be the key. And I give them a much better chance with J.J. Redick as part of that organization because I don't think they had anybody who was that bright who could help contribute to the basketball wisdom of the franchise, right? Darvin Ham wasn't going to sit in there and tell the Lakers what moves to make to put them over the top this offseason.
No, plus it was over. It was over. Anthony Davis sealed his fate during the Denver series when he said we're on both ends of the floor. There are times where we look like we have no idea what we're doing.
And that was true.
Yes, that's right. Can't wait for this breakdown up next. Their win total is 8.5. Matt makes the case for the Chargers coming up next. Bill 80 up early. Start your morning with a daily dose of winning strategies, insider tips, and the latest buzz with the free VSiN Daily newsletter. Expert analysis, latest odds straight to your inbox. Conn Smythe recap. The crazy odds movement. Our NFL betting guide drops Thursday. Also, Nigel has an opinion and a pick on 3 of the 4 soccer matches today. He joins us in half an hour. VSiN.com/newsletter to subscribe. VSiN.com/newsletter. We continue AFC West today. Los Angeles Chargers. Win total 8.5. Over -150 at DraftKings. Division wins 3.5. Under -220. To make the playoffs, yes, +110. To win the division, +320. Added Disley, Hurst, Dobbins, Edwards, Chark, Alton, McConkey in the draft, the last 2. They lose Allen, Williams, and Eckler. The biggest addition is adding Harbaugh and moving on from Staley. And you could argue he was the worst coach in NFL history. Some of the ridiculous moves he made. Staley was atrocious.
There were worse. Jim Tom Sula of the 49ers. Remember him?
Yeah, but he also didn't have talent like this, and certainly with the playoff teams.
Right.
Come on, I mean, I can sit here going back to the Raider debacle where you get in with a tie, and he calls a timeout when the Raiders got.
Trust me.
I mean, come on.
I know how bad Brandon Staley was. But you're talking about the history of the NFL. There have been some horrendous coaches. Jim Tom Sula, Freddie Kitchens. Remember Freddie Kitchens with the Browns?
Larry the Cable Guy.
Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
So
he's in the running. He's in the running.
Been some really bad coaches.
Playing starters in a meaningless game when you couldn't improve your seed.
Yeah.
And losing Williams, who goes down with an injury, and keeping Herbert and Allen in the game still. after that happened, going for it at his own 20 time and time again. And what happened, and was supposed to be a defensive guru and couldn't stop a nosebleed. But again, getting Harbaugh, though, is a game changer. But this is your baby here, and this will be in the guide. But 5-12 last year, your case for the Chargers over.
Massive upgrade in head coaching like we just talked about here. And when Jim Harbaugh got hired by the Chargers, Paul, my initial thought was I don't want to buy into the Harbaugh hype necessarily because I think the Chargers are going to be overvalued in the betting market. Well, I've been watching everything the Chargers have been doing since Harbaugh took over, and they've done nothing but make the right moves at every turn. Outstanding draft, outstanding offseason. I think if you handicap the Chargers just from a knee-jerk perspective, you're going to look at this team and say, well, they lost Keenan Allen, they lost Mike Williams, they lost Austin Eckler. Mm-hmm. My answer to that is who cares, and who cares? Those guys are not going to be missed. Keenan Allen, yeah, he's a great receiver, but he's often injured, just like Mike Williams, Austin Eckler. You can plug in new guys who fit Harbaugh's system better, and I think you're going to see a big increase in the offensive efficiency with the Chargers this season. By the way, Brandon Staley was the coach when the Chargers blew the 27-0 lead to the Jaguars in the play. How do you do that, right?
Yep.
That's this nonsense is not going to happen with Jim Harbaugh in charge. And he builds a football team from the ground up that's strong on the offensive and defensive lines and solid in the fundamentals. You know what? He's kind of, in a way, a mirror image of Bill Belichick in that what he believes in is don't beat yourself. Like, the opponent's going to make a bunch of mistakes and beat itself. We're not going to make a bunch of mistakes. And I think what the Chargers have done the last few years, and actually more than that, Anthony Lynn was the previous coach who didn't have a clue as well.
That's another. Yeah, I know. He's right up there with Staley too.
Yeah.
He was.
They've had some bad coaches. A talented team with some bad coaches. Well, guess what? It's still a really talented team. Now you got a great coaching staff. Harbaugh from the top down. So the fact that the Chargers went 5-12 last season is a tremendous benefit to Jim Harbaugh taking over this job. And I know I've heard some critics say, well, they got a big turnaround to make here. Win total's 8.5, and they won 5 last year. Well, this was a much better team than a 5-win team. Everything fell apart at the end because of the coaching situation.
Quit on them.
They quit. They packed it in.
Yeah.
It was all over for that team. So they were better than 5-12. But what you inherit here with Jim Harbaugh is a last-place schedule. And when you're breaking down win totals, the schedule obviously means a lot. We'll talk about the personnel, but I'm going to start with showing you why Jim Harbaugh's got a great shot to go over 8.5. And here at Circa, the over's -145, so you actually a little bit better price on the over. The last-place schedule gives you games against Carolina, Arizona, Tennessee, Tampa Bay, and New England. Now, Tampa Bay was a division winner, but I don't think the Buccaneers are going to be very good this season. But the last place schedule, Panthers, Cardinals, Titans, and Patriots right there. You got, in the NFL, you have a lot of coin flip games. Of those 4, you got to think the Chargers should win 3 of the 4. Those are 4 of the worst teams in the league on your schedule. And you open at home against the Raiders and at Carolina. You couldn't ask for a much better 2 weeks here. And a lot of times the early season schedule is important because you build momentum. The team, if you win, the players believe, they buy into the system. I think the Chargers are going to get off to a good start, and they're going to carry that throughout the season here because the schedule looks like it was tailor-made for Jim Harbaugh to make a quick turnaround. We're looking at the non-division opponents had a .275 win percentage last season. Chargers 3 non-division opponents. That compares to the Chiefs 3 non-division opponents with a .650 winning percentage. By far the worst or the weakest schedule in the AFC West is what the Chargers have. Okay, so you say, how are they going to replace the personnel? Talking about Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler. How about Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, and Kamani Vidal, the rookie? Those guys are going to more than make up for what Austin Eckler did in the backfield.
I was going to say, to your point, Eckler was always hurt.
Yeah.
And if he did play, he was always questionable, and that was okay. So,
what Harbaugh is going to build this offense based around power running principles, right? This is going to become a power running attack, and that's going to make Justin Herbert more effective and more efficient as a passer. Say, where's the receiver production going to come from? Josh Palmer, I actually thought was the Chargers' best receiver last year, and Justin Herbert's got a connection with Palmer. That's going to be his primary target. Quentin Johnston, DJ Shark, Ladd McConkey. Actually, if you're involved in fantasy football, I would highly recommend Ladd McConkey as a guy who's going to put up big numbers. Maybe not what Puka Nacua did for the Rams as a bit of an unheralded rookie, but Ladd McConkey's going to put up some big numbers. I've been reading all the reports from Chargers camp, and he's way ahead of what a rookie should be. But the line, you look at the offensive line, talking about power running attack. You've got bookend tackles, maybe the best young combination in the league, and Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt, the rookie who was drafted from Notre Dame. So he took Harbaugh resisted all trade offers. He took Joe Alt, number 5. He's a building block for that offense. Zion Johnson, Bradley Bozeman in the middle of the offensive line. I rank this right now as a top 5 offensive line in the league. Yesterday, JT the Brick was on with us. He made a great point about the special teams. The Raiders have excellent kicker and punter, right? Mm-hmm. Cameron Dicker, the kicker for the Chargers, 35 of 35 on extra points, 31 of 33 on field goals last season. So you're going to punish defenses on the ground with a power running attack. You got a quarterback who's going to be more efficient because of that. You got young receivers who are going to grow up and be productive in this system. Stud running backs, great special teams. You get to the defense. What do you have, Paul? You've got Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, 2 of the best edge rushers in the league if they can stay healthy. Bosa's always a big question mark, staying healthy. Mm-hmm. But they picked up they lost Eric Kendricks as inside linebacker, but they picked up Denzel Perryman and drafted Junior Colson from Michigan, who's a do-it-all kind of linebacker. All-pro safety Derwin James, Asante Samuel as a corner. The defense actually was not bad if you throw out that 63-point bomb the Raiders dropped on the Chargers late last season. The defense was respectable, and it's going to be better. I wouldn't even say look at last season's stats because they're irrelevant with this new coaching staff, new system, and the players are buying into it. Like I said, I've been reading all the camp reports. This team is going to do a 180 from what it's been the last 5 or 6 years under clumsy head coaches. I like the personnel. I like the coaching, and I love the schedule because that's what's going to get the Chargers over the top. I expect at least 9-8 and probably a 10-7 season here.
Playoffs?
Yes.
Wow.
I project the Chargers as a playoff team, but to get to 9 wins with 4 last-place teams on your schedule is not that difficult a challenge when you got an elite quarterback in Justin Herbert and a massive coaching upgrade.
I thought they could go Belichick, but they got a big name and a great coach who's won everywhere he's been. But they needed to do this because you need some juice and interest in that market because no one cares. And there's so many times where it's a road game, and it's going to be a road game week 1 against the Raiders. I mean, they need a home field advantage. And everyone likes a winner. And everyone roots for a winner, especially in Los Angeles.
In addition, what I should say about the 4 last-place teams on the schedule, you also got the Broncos and the Raiders twice, and the Broncos are going to be bad. Over 8.5, minus 150. That's my favorite win total, Chargers.
He loves it. There you go. Win some, lose some. Up next, 4 horrific beats. 3 in baseball next.
Last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Great game, great drama, so close. Edmonton loses 2-1. Panthers in 7 plus 450. They become the first team in this year's playoffs to win a series when they lost the special teams battle. Verhaeghe first goal, 12-1. 17 of the last 18 Game 7s in the Stanley Cup have now gone under 5.5 goals.
Did you happen to see at Circus Sports, the price on the Panthers got as high as plus 107 yesterday?
Wow.
Yeah.
Edmonton only scores 1 goal. That was surprising. Great job by Bob and the defense, though, and it's the breakaway. That's wild. It was crazy how the prisoner of the moment and how just everything changed in the series from a price standpoint.
I know.
Because Game 5, it was nothing but Panthers money with a 35-cent move. And then here they are an underdog now in Game 7.
That became a bit much for me. When I saw that price yesterday, I actually made a bet on the Panthers. I said, you're going to give me a plus price on a home dog. You turn the Panthers into a home dog in Game 7. That's an offer I could not refuse.
Okay, McDavid, Conn Smythe winner, 6th winner on a losing team. Only the 2nd skater to do it, Reggie Leach in 1976. The last to do it, Giguère in 2003. 4 goalies have done it. So if that was a way of hedging, for other people, you won both. Congratulations there. Guerrero to hit a home run, 5-1. Croatia, Italy draw, 2-1. Copa America, Brazil, Costa Rica draw, 11-1. God knows what 0-0 paid. The total was 3.5. Brazil was an $8 favorite. 0-0. Spain, 230 up to 275. They won 1-0. They advance to the round of 16. They've yet to allow a goal. Modric to score, 9-1 as well. And Tennessee wins the College Baseball World Series, the first number one overall seed to do it since 1999. That got hairy late.
Sure did. 6-5 game last night, and A&M scored a run in the 9th. It's really unfortunate for college baseball and the Tennessee and Texas A&M teams that very few people were probably watching that last night because the hockey game was so good, and you got a Game 7, you're going right up against it. I tried to watch a little bit of the baseball game, but I was mostly locked in on the hockey game 90% of the time, right? Mm-hmm. I think most people probably were.
And it was also 6-2 in the 7th.
Right.
Yes, subscribe, be part of the team, vsin.com, our radio and podcast friends. You always want to see these tweets and videos. This is excellent. We'll put this up later. Pauly Does Vegas on Instagram. The dog is taking a nap on the beach. He wants a little shut-eye. Leave me alone, right? And the kid's like kicking him in the belly, so he gets up and watch this move. Okay, you want to kick me? You know what's coming, right? Just sand in your face. There you go, right? Like, what are you doing? I'm trying to take a nap.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and it just gives it right to the girl, the kid, right? Just sand in the face nonstop. Tidal wave. How you like that? Look at you, like poking him. Don't poke the bear. Look at the little guy. Little front porch there. I think it's a boxer. I don't know. But anyways, taking a nap on the beach, and then it's like, I'm sick of you doing this. I'm trying to get a little shut-eye. Had a long day, went for a long walk. Here you go. Enjoy this sand. How does that taste? Right in the face over and over again. That is awesome. Now, a dog and a cat. I love dogs. Is the cat playing, right? The dogs, I've had enough of you. You can see it coming. Here comes the left. My man, boom!
Knock ya.
The cat is slapping the dog in the face. And the dog looks around for 2 seconds and just, I'm bigger than you. I've had enough. And just the paw to the front face and the face, and the cat goes ass over tea kettle and then just runs away. And the owner in the back, sitting down on the couch, knows it's coming too, on a chair. You know, you're like, okay, that's enough. Goes on. Cat keeps slapping the dog, and the dog says, no more. I don't know how they go through life. They're incredible. Like they, edibles or a 6-pack in them. How about a panda in the snow? Just over and over and over again. Well, these pandas, just these creatures, unbelievable. The best is when they're gathered around the table and it looks like they're talking or planning something. But it's just, they're like 5-year-olds, you know, always going, that tumble.
You know what that reminds me of?
Sure.
The new spicy orange chicken at Panda Express. Have you been there?
No, Alex.
That's pretty good.
Is it really? Okay. The panda's going through somersaults and a good time, 180s in the snow. Couple bad beats, well, several bad beats. It never stops in baseball. What's going on in Toronto? The Blue Jays lose again. Last place. Vlad hits the big home run. They're up 6-2 in the 8th, and they lose to the Red Sox, who might...
By the way, the Red Sox are hot
I was going to say, all the talk about no one was excited and the fan base was furious. They might be a playoff team.
7 games over 500.
Yeah, absolutely. And they win again, and they come back in dramatic fashion and win 7-6. The Blue Jays were plus 150. The Cubs were $1.15. They led the Giants 4-2 in the 9th. They blow it. Another disappointment, right? Because Milwaukee's not going to run away and hide, and it's going to maybe St. Louis who's going to catch them, but no one is stepping up
Right.
To take it out of Pittsburgh and Cincinnati and the Cubs. And the Cubs have had this great start by Assad and Imanaga, and they're still, going through the motions and struggling to put together a 500 product, and they blow it, lose 5-4. And the Nats plus 170. They led the Padres 6-3 in the 10th, and the Padres walk it off, obviously at home, and that's win some if you're a Padre fan with the Derek Stevens circa getaway, where you get the limo, the suite, the cabana, and dinner at Barry's. And it happened twice all of last year. 4 walk-off wins for the Padres in the last couple weeks.
Padres have had a good, especially good last week or so with walk-off wins. And they're now over, I believe, 1 or 2 games over 500.
Yeah.
But that's a brutal beat. If you got the Nats at that price and you got a 3-run lead in the 10th, you think you're probably good. That's baseball betting.
Yep, I had this too. Croatia was 2-1. For the second straight match.
Oh, no.
For the second straight match, they allow a goal on the last kick. Back up. Don't try to score. What do you do? There's less than a minute left. You move on if you win. That was an incredible goal from Italy. But I don't know what they were doing from a defensive standpoint. Just park the bus and get your asses back. It just happened to you in the last match. Well, I think it was Albania or whatever. And then it happens again. You're going to go through in advance, and you give up a goal on the last kick again for the second straight match. Brutal. The beats in soccer are ridiculous. In the 98th minute, 99th minute again. Just sheer lunacy. NFL training camp starting in less than a month. We have you covered here at VSiN. Our betting guide drops Thursday. We preview every team. Super Bowl picks. We'll talk about this tomorrow. Lombardi has Bengals-Lions in his Super Bowl. And we'll see if anyone can beat Mahomes and the Chiefs. Best bets, props, win totals. The only way to get our new NFL betting guide, become a VSiN Pro subscriber, VSiN.com/subscribe. Sign up today, VSiN.com/subscribe. Get it today. There you go. Good job, fellas.
So we have a panel predicting the division winners, the playoff teams, the Super Bowl matchups. And when you pick these, Paul, I'm sure you try to think outside the box a little bit, right? You're not going to pick chalk, chalk, chalk all the way down the line.
I don't think I only had one surprise. I really didn't go, yeah. Well, I mean, the AFC's so hard. But I don't think the Chargers are a surprise, especially with your breakdown and that schedule. Lombardi has the Colts making the playoffs. That would surprise me.
I do too.
Do you? Really?
Yeah. Well, you got to think like a contrarian with the NFL sometimes. Last year,
you always get new teams in. You're right. Yeah.
Last year at this time, everyone considered the Houston Texans to be trash, right? C.J. Stroud has a great year. Texans overachieve. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's picking the Texans to win the division.
Yep.
So you got to look a different way. I think the Colts, when I break down the Colts too deep, I think they're equally as talented as the Texans. The big question mark is Anthony Richardson going to show up and stay healthy and produce a quarterback? Can he do kind of what C.J. Stroud did last year? I think Richardson's a freak athlete who actually could be a big surprise this season. But, yeah, you got to, think outside the box a little bit with some of these predictions. And just like Lombardi, I took a shot here with the Colts instead of the Texans.
Okay.
In the AFC. AFC South, I'm not a Jaguars guy. Are you?
No.
Okay.
I'm not a Lawrence guy.
Right. I'm not either.
That contract's ridiculous. And he certainly stunk down the stretch, and they imploded.
NFC South is kind of a trash
I know.
pile.
What do you want to do there? That's a tough...
I went with the Falcons because I just don't like the Saints, and I don't think the Buccaneers are going to do it again. I don't believe in Derek Carr and the Saints coaching staff. I went ahead and, that's one of those pick your poison situations in the NFC South, and I went ahead and picked the Falcons.
Lombardi's on tomorrow. No Atlanta in the playoffs. Thinks Tampa gets back, and he went with the Saints. So that is a tough division. I know.
Well,
Looking forward to it Thursday. I love reading the Coach of the Year stuff, too, and some of the MVP picks that guys have. 4 matches today. Who advances? Who moves on? Nigel's got an opinion on 3 of them. He's hot. More winners coming up, we hope, with Nigel next on VSiN Follow the Money. Pauly Howard, Matt Youmans.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.